And welcome to episode 23 of Codebase Alpha. I just noticed we had a follow there. That was AI Man. Thank you very much for the follow. That is wonderful. Great way to kick off the show. So this is our early show. Hello Rambling Geek, welcome to the stream. Our early show, which tends to be a little kind of smaller, intimate, where we don't get all sort of number of viewers really for this show because it is quite early. But doesn't mean we don't make any progress or have a bit of fun doing some coding. So I'll just post into chat what we're working on. We're working on the Microsoft bot framework. And so Rambling Geek, yes, you're at work. I understand that. So thanks for tuning in, and you do follow along as well as you can. Obviously, there's limited what you can do at work. So, but I do really appreciate you appearing. So thank you very much. As I say, we're looking at the Microsoft bot framework. We're building a conversational chat bot. We're building it all locally currently. We're not going to put it up into Azure just yet. And the idea of the chat bot really is to help people discover information about live coding streams. Now, it's very similar in that kind of outlook to our Alexa skill that we developed a few episodes back on the stream. And it's also going to utilize the GraphQL endpoint that we built for DevChatter's DevStreams website project. So we're kind of pulling all those things together. We're continuing with our kind of ongoing theme on the stream of using web APIs. And only this time we kind of in the context of a conversation bot. So Rabbly Geek says, could the bot be used for Microsoft Teams? Yes, it can. So Microsoft's bot framework uses a thing called the Azure Bot Service, and it connects to about 11 different channels, as they call them. And these include, there's a web client, which you can embed into web pages, Microsoft Teams, Facebook Messenger, Skype, Slack, and a handful of others. So yes, we can have this bot embedded in any of those kind of client applications. And what it does basically is that the Azure Bot Service takes care of all the translation of all the different messaging formats, and it gives us a consistent format of messages to send and receive. We're using rich cards to improve the user interface. We're using adaptive cards as well, and I'll show you all this in case you haven't kind of been following on the stream before. But basically what the rich cards and the adaptive cards do, it gives us a way of having a nicer user interface, but these are getting rendered on the target client in the kind of the best way that the client can. So well, thank you very much for the follow there. Who's that? That's Pat, is it, or Pal Pat? Sorry, I've got a light shining right in my eyes, looking over at the chat box over there. It's on a small screen just over here, so I can't quite see it. But I will read your name correctly in a moment. So let's pop over to the code where the alert's actually going to be visible, and so I'll get a better chance of reading them because they're larger text. So let's pop over into the code, and I can show you what we've got so far. Okay, here we are in Visual Studio 2019, and we've got a number of classes that we're working on. The main class is this chatbot bot class, and this is basically the heart of our system. So this is where all the messages come in and the messages are sent from. So there's one main method here which is called onTurnAsync, and what onTurnAsync does is it processes each turn of the conversation. So the user says something, the bot responds. That's a turn, and then those turns continue until the end of the conversation. Now you can't guarantee any particular instance of the bot class will actually process any given turn. So there could be many instances, and any one of those could be handling a turn that's in progress. So we also have some state which we maintain. And there's two types of state we're using at the moment. We're using conversation state, and we're using conversation state here to persist our dialogues. So the information about where we are in a dialogue, what step we're on, whether we're finished, whether we're just starting, whether there's no dialogue in progress, that kind of thing. And we've also got a user state, and for our user state we've got a custom class called user selections. And this is what we're using to persist any kind of values that users selected. And the idea is a conversation state persists for the length of your interaction with the bot at any particular time. So if I go in the bot today and I converse with it, then for the length of that conversation my conversation state is preserved. As soon as I stop and I'm no longer connected to the bot, that goes away. However, user state, the idea of that is that kind of follows the user around. So whenever I come back to the bot, and potentially on whatever client I come back, it remembers information about me. Now, if I look over in the startup class, you can see we're using in-memory storage at the moment. So obviously, when we close our emulator or restart a conversation, then it's going to forget any user state. But the idea is that we will eventually persist this probably to Azure Blob Storage. And then when we actually go live with it, it will be persisted for all the users. And the main piece of information we need to persist about a user is what time zone they're in, because it's not guaranteed that any particular channel will be able to tell us what time zone the user is operating in. So we have to ask them. So we want to ask them as little as seldom as possible. So let's have a quick look at what our app does. We've got currently a menu here, and the menu has two live selections. There's option number 2, which is when is a streamer that I want to know about streaming next, and then we've got a time zone, a set time zone, which is option number 4. And then we're going to fill in kind of options 1 and option 3, maybe in this stream, maybe in the next stream. Okay, and the rest of the code we can look at as we come to it. I'll just point that out. We have a menu, and it's menu-driven bot at the moment, so we're not currently processing natural language, and we haven't given our bot a personality, but we're going to do both of those things eventually. Certainly we're going to give it a personality, so when you start interacting with the bot in non-standard ways, it's going to come back as if in a kind of a semi-human form. So there's a couple of personalities we can give that. We can give it a professional personality, we can make it the comedian, or we can make it a friend, and we'll look at how we do all that kind of stuff. It's basically to try and make the bot a little bit more like conversing with a person rather than just with a kind of a menuing system. However, the reason why we've gone with menus is that over on the website which we're using as documentation, which is over here, there are some kind of design guidelines which you're free to read, and I'll just post this into chat for you so that you can follow along if you wish. And in there they talk about starting simple with your bot design, and there being nothing wrong with menus. That a successful bot is nothing to do with how smart it is, how much natural language or AI it's got. It's really how usable it is. So that's the plan really. We're going to start off simple, take baby steps, and expand things as necessary. So let's fire up the bot, and we'll show you what we've got at the moment. And then we're going to look at basically start off with a bit of refactoring, I think. Okay, so let's start it off. So this is basically a .NET Core 2.2 web API application. That's all it is. What are my thoughts about .NET 5? Yeah, well, I thought it was quite earth-shattering when I heard about it. So basically, if I'm reading everything correctly, .NET Framework is going away, and we're going completely into .NET Core. So .NET 5 is .NET Core version 4, and that's really exciting and really challenging as well, because I think it's challenging for Microsoft as well, because I know that a lot of the products I use at work, they are still using .NET Framework 4.6.2, I think it is, and so we can't use .NET Core applications with that. We've also got applications like we use ADFS version 2, and that's, once again, it's stuck in the .NET framework. So we're kind of challenged about going forward with .NET Core work. Obviously, on the stream, it's all .NET Core stuff we do. But yeah, it's a very interesting proposition that Microsoft have come up with. I'm interested in that every year they're going to increment the numbers, so it'll be .NET 6, .NET 7, .NET 8. I don't know how long that will last for. It seems like when we get .NET 23, it's getting a bit ridiculous. But it's not a rewrite, so it's it's a fix-it. Yes, it would be because a number of the libraries which are in the full framework are obviously going to go away. They have to. So it's going to be very interesting, unless they port some of them across. I mean, they're doing the system.drawing, aren't they? So for Windows only. And the cross platform compatibility is going to be interesting. Currently, I think it's quite hard to play a sound in .NET Core. You have to kind of call out to a PowerShell script or something. So what are the options for doing that kind of natively? And I guess Microsoft have answers for those. So yeah. Yeah, you tried. Yes, Remley, you tried to play a sound on your stream, and it's such a simple thing. You couldn't do it. So you couldn't do it cross-platform. You had to kind of do it for your platform. So you'd have to have kind of code which understood what platform you were on and did different things. But hopefully they'll put wrappers around all that, and it'll kind of just work. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so let's start our bot. So our bot is running at this location. So we've got a bot emulator here, or a chat emulator, which is something you download from the framework site. which it should be connecting. Come on, connect. So it seems to be. Let's try restarting the conversation. Nope, it doesn't want to connect. Well, this is really typical, isn't it? Because I checked this just before we started to stream and it was fine. So let's start the emulator again. So I go here and then API messages and connect. There we are. We've connected this time. So as part of the previous two streams, we created this welcome message. And then we created a simple menu, which last stream we converted to this hero card. And you can see it's got a title, it's got a subtitle, it's got 4 buttons stacked on top of each other. Option 1, find out who's live now. Option 2, find out when a streamer is broadcasting next. Discover live coding streams covering things I'm interested in is option 3, which is a new one, which the Alexa skill doesn't do. And then set or reset my time zone. So if we say, okay, let's find out what streamer is broadcasting next. So he doesn't know what our time zone is, so it's going to ask us for the country. So we select country from a list. So let's select New Zealand. Submit that. Then it's going to say, what's your time zone? It's going to give the time zones applicable for New Zealand. So we're going to select New Zealand time. Submit that. It'll ask us about which streamer we're interested in. So we'll put in Rambling Geek. And all it's going to do is basically echo that back to us and re-show the menu. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing. If we now do this again, it's not going to ask us for our time zone because it already knows. Because we just told it we're in New Zealand time. So this time, if we put in Codebase Alpha, then we get information about that potentially. So hopefully we'll get around to doing that today. So what I'd like to do first, before we start refactoring, I think we'd like to display on the hero card here what time zone you've selected. Because then it'd be obvious that you need to select one using option 4 or option 2 or 3. And also when we come to persist our user state, we'll actually be able to check that that's actually working. And that we kind of log off and we go away, we come back and it's remembered our time zone. So let's do that as a kind of a starter. So over in our code, let's stop the bot. Here's our hero card. And so it's got these 4 buttons, which are these card actions here. As you can see, it's got a title, it's got an action, which is this I am back, and then it's got a value 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we've also got a dummy dialog down here, which is what choosing options 1 and 3 currently start. So we'll look at what dialogues are as well in a moment, and I'll show you. We need to do some refactoring on our dialogues to kind of so we don't have so much repeated code, and we actually make our dialogues reusable, which we'll actually demonstrate. Okay, so in order to actually access the user state, we can use a piece of code which is appears quite often. It's this piece of code here, so this user selections. So what this is doing, it's using our user selection state, which is a state accessor function really, get async, and it's reaching into the context, grabbing our user state, and if the user state is null, then it's going to return a new user selections object. So basically, this is a kind of default function. So if you can't find any state that's been saved, then bring back a new one. So let's grab hold of that and take it across to our chatbot here. And here on the display of the hero card, which is our main menu, we'll grab the user selections. Okay, this here, step context.context. So step context is something which is applicable to a dialogue, but we're not in a dialogue at this stage. We're in the main turn processing. We're in this menu, this option here, on turn async. and you can see there's actually a turn context, and that's what we want to use rather than a step context.context to actually do this accessor. So replace our step context.context. Step context.context is of type iTurnContext, so we're doing basically the same thing. And user selection state here it's complaining about, so because we're static, and we need to come away from being static here in both places. Okay, so now we've got our user selection object, and we need to see if there's any data in there. So what we can say is, what can we say? We can say var selected time zone. So that's going to be, if we use it, some string interpolation on that. Actually, let's have some music in the background, a bit of gentle music to kind of get us into the flow of coding. So there we are. That's some Relax Daily, which is one of my favourite musics to code by. Okay, so selected time zone. This is going to be so what is it going to be? It's going to be user selections dot time zone, because that's where we're storing the time zone. So what we want to do here is have a bit of a conditional statement. So we'll say user selections dot time zone, and we'll just use a string function on that. So if not string dot is null or white space for that, then we'll set the selected time zone to that, what the actual value of the time zone. Otherwise we'll simply put in a dash. And what we'll do, because our hero card understands markup, then we can actually put some markup in there. So we'll just make that bold text by putting a couple of stars either side of it. Oh, we've missed out the full colon. There we go. Okay, so that's our user selection. Our user selections pulling out the time zone. If it's actually not null or white space, then we patch the time zone we've selected in there. And what we can do is on the hero card there's a text option. Here we can say something along the lines of selected your selected time zone colon, and then we can pop into their selected time zone. Okay, if the music's too loud or anything like that, let me know please, and I'll just knock it down a jot, but it should be okay. Okay, so there we go. So let's see what that does for us. That gives the user a bit of feedback. It's all good. Thank you, Rambling Geek, for that report. I don't know if you've seen our hyperspatial hype effect, Rambling Geek. It's a little low, is it? Okay, let's see if we can do something about it being a little low. How's that? Is that any better? Just knocked up a little notch. That's fine, great, thank you very much for that. So Rambling Geek, I don't know if you've seen our hyperspatial hype. So this is an effect which FuelSnable created for us. It's only small at the moment, so we're not using full screen for this, because I found that using this effect full screen tends to kind of wipe the quality of the stream for a few seconds. So this is our hype. I've got a button on my Stream Deck here, and let's just see how good it comes, because it's in real time. We get different effects, but this is our alien friend Alf appearing as a mathematical representation of a set. So we really quite like that. So that was in use quite a lot on Monday when we had some subscribers and a whole load of new followers, which was wonderful. You can see that we're at 144 followers at the moment, so we're kind of ramping up towards our target. Yes, it's kind of fractal. I think FuelSnable says it was something called a Julian set. which I'll have to look up. It's a bit like a Mandelbrot set, I think. Okay, so let's run up our bot and see how we get on. Okay, we'll just restart. Let's just minimize that. It's a lot of white on the screen, so let's move that across. Let's restart our conversation. And we should see your selected time zone as dash, and now we're going to use option 4 this time to set the time zone. It's going to ask for our country. We'll choose Australia. Australia, which is there. Submit that, and we'll choose Eastern Australia time, Brisbane. Submit that, and now it says Australia/Brisbane, so that kind of is working. Now we'll confess to you that we're currently only working on Happy Path, so we can break this quite easily. To if we kind of don't obey what we're being asked to do, if we just type in any old thing in, it will break it. So I'll just show you. If you type in, I don't know, if we say reset the password, reset the time zone, and you go down here and you type in Wakanda, for example, then obviously it doesn't know anything about that, and it says something went wrong, and it kind of crashes out at that point. And we can get back to where we want to be. No, we're actually scuppered at that point. So we're only doing Happy Path programming at the moment. But we will come round to looking at the sad path, and looking at things like interruptions when you start a process and the user says stop or cancel or gets lost and says help. So we need to kind of cope with all those kind of things that happen in real conversations. But if we restart now, we're actually and you can see it's lost the state at this point because we've restarted. Okay, so I want to address a couple of things before we do our refactoring, and that is looking at when we do the set time zones. We just get a blank box. I'd like to kind of have default settings on those drop downs so that certain things are kind of selected by default. So let's go across to our time zone dialog. So what we did in the last stream is to break our dialogues into their own classes, and they basically extend a base class called component dialog. And this idea of the component dialog means we can reuse dialogues. We're not doing that at the moment, but we're going to very shortly. But let's look at our set time zone dialog. You can see it consists of 3 steps. The first step is to get the user's country, the second to get their time zone based on their country, and then to confirm it back to them. The confirmation step is just there, really just to print out what they selected. Eventually what we'll want to do is have a true confirmation step. We say, is that what you actually meant? And they can say yes or no and reselect. But we're not doing that at the moment. We kind of want to do baby steps on this and not always kind of work on the same features. So we'll come back and do that part at a later date. So what we're using to create these dialogues, or to present the UI for the dialogues, is adaptive cards. And we've got a country card, create, and and down here we've got a time zone card, create. So let's go and have a look at, let's start off with a country card. Our card's over here in our own folder, and here's country card. And rather than using JSON to define our adaptive card, we're actually using the .NET adaptive card NuGet package to do that. This is a .NET standard package. We download it from NuGet, and we get some reasonable support for adaptive cards. It's not the full support, so you can get a richer card using the JSON, but that's not what we want, because we're actually having to programmatically set up all those choices. So we want to get all the time zones that are applicable to a country, and we don't want to give them a list of 500 time zones in the world. We only want to show ones for their country they've selected. In order to get the time zone information, we're using a package called timezone names. And what that allows us to do, it gives us a list of countries, times tznames.get country names, and we pass in a language. In this case we're using US English, and we get a list of countries which are in the time zone database, and then we basically fill them out here. So what we can do here is to actually set this up so it's got a default value. So this is our adaptive choice set input control. You can see it's called country. It has a compact style, which means it's a drop down menu, and these are the choices available to us, and we're going to put a default, and we can set the default by putting a value in, and the value is going to be the key for the country. So it's going to be the country code, so US for the United States. So let's give that a go to make sure it works. So I don't want to actually kind of write too much code before we actually do give it a test. Okay, so I've got a couple of these pages. Let's get rid of those. Let's come back to our chatbot, restart the conversation, hit number 4, and it's selected United States by default. We can go and override that. So we'll choose United States as our default country, just out of deference to our US colleagues. And we submit. And what we want to do now is have this one default to a US time zone. And we'll just choose the first one in the list that comes back from our time zone names database. So let's do that bit. Restart the conversation there. Okay, so that's the first change we've made to country card. Over in time zone card, we've got a very similar situation. We've got a we're reaching into the TZ names database again, and we're pulling out time zones for a country, passing the country code and the language we want the time zones to come back in, and we've got a list of time zones. So what we can do here is to we can create a default time zone. So var default choice is going to be so it's going to be a new adaptive choice, just like we're doing down here. Okay, the new adaptive choice, and it's going to be we need a title, and that's going to be universal coordinated time, and then we're going to have a value which is going to be the time zone database value for UTC, and I happen to know that what one we can use is etc/GMT as a kind of a shorthand for universal coordinated time. So all you have to do is go and look in the time zone database, the IANA time zone database, for the valid values of these, but actually etc/GMT will be fine for our purposes. So that's our default. And what we're going to say basically is that we're going to say that if so we've got time zones coming back from our database, if time zones.any, then we're going to do this piece of logic, else. Now we can probably tidy this up quite nicely, but let's just stick to some simple coding to begin with. So choices.add default choice. So that gives us that. And what we want to say is that our default value that we're actually going to display is going to be choices first dot and we want, what do we want, the value, don't we? No, it's going to be the key that we want, which is dot first dot title. There we go. No, it's not title, it is value. So value is the key. So it'll be the etc/GMT. We don't want to pass universal coordinated time back to our our user state, because we use these IANA time zone designations when we use our GraphQL query. Okay, let's make sure that works. Right, and bring up our emulator, restart the conversation so we've got the latest code. Go here. The United States is our default. We'll submit that, and we get, well, Hawaii, Aleutian Time, Honolulu probably isn't the best pre-selected choice, but at least it's one of the American time zones. And we really can't really choose which one. It's difficult to choose. So we select that. So Pacific Honolulu is chosen. Let's change it again. Let's go to the United Kingdom, submit that, and then we get United Kingdom time, and that's actually the only option. And we hit that. Okay. So what we've set our default value up for UTC. We're going to use that when we start looking at SAD path through this process, so we're not going to do that at the moment. So that's actually working quite nicely. We've got a new feature where we're displaying the selected time zone back to the user, and we've got some kind of default values so that we don't get empty boxes here. The idea really with these is to try and discourage people from typing, but to actually hit the buttons. But we're going to have to kind of cope with that. So that's for another stream, perhaps the next stream, perhaps. Okay. Let's have a look at the next piece of work I'd like to do. So this is a refactoring. So at the end of the last stream, we'd completed writing our when next dialog. So this is the dialog which is going to end up saying when is the streamers I want to know about going to be streaming next, and also give some more information about them, such as what they stream and their schedule. You can see it uses get country, get time zone, and then the very last thing we did on Monday night was to create a new dialog called set time zone, and lo and behold, it uses basically the same two steps, but they're actually, those two steps, they're actually different in the code, so they're over here. So we've got two dialogues which are basically doing the same thing, at least partially, which isn't kind of great design. So I think we mentioned right at the end of the stream last time that we would want to refactor this, and we can actually do that because we've now got component dialogues. We can reuse dialogues within other dialogues. If we go over to our chatbot class, you can see that over here we've got this definition here of the set time zone intent, which is our dialog for setting a time zone. What I want to do now is we're going to leave that in there because there is a route here. Option 4 will start that dialog. We want to go over into our when next dialog and give ourselves the option to start that dialog from within here as well. So we're going to go down to here, and we're going to stop the button. The bot is stopped. Okay, we're going to go add dialog, and add dialog is a bit of a misnomer. It's we're really kind of adding components or kind of bits and pieces of the dialog, because you can see here we've got a waterfall dialog, which is the current dialog we're working on. We've got now added our set time zone dialog, and we've got these text prompts as well. So those all kind of parts of the dialog. Link Slumps, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So we're kind of still carrying on working on the Microsoft Bot framework, and we're deep into dialogues and refactoring these dialogues at the moment. Okay, so right. So we've got our dialog there. This dialog is now available for us to use within our when next dialog. So let's have a look at what we want to do. So we know what we want to do basically is to if we haven't got a dialog set in the user state, we want to actually run this dialog as a kind of sub dialog and we can do that. So let's be brave, and we won't be too brave. We'll comment code out rather than delete it initially. So let's comment out this method, because we're not going to need to get a user's country, but we are going to want to know their time zone. And in the time zone dialog, what we're going to want to do is we're not going to want to do any of this. What we're going to want to do is, if we've got a time zone, we want to go into the next piece of dialog. But if we haven't, then we want to return await step context dot begin dialog async, and the dialog we want to start, we give it its ID, and the ID is what we've got up here, which is set time zone intent. And we pass a cancellation token in there as well. So what we're doing now is saying, basically, if you haven't got a time zone, then rather than going on to the next step, which is going to be down here to get the streamer's name, what we're going to do is actually go and ask the user for their time zone. We're going to start a new dialog, and this dialog will be nested inside the one that we're currently running. Down here, we now no longer need to actually set the time zone within the user state, because our other dialog will do that. So we should be able to lose all of this as well. So deleting code, the funnest thing you can do. So let's see, we've got those commented out. We no longer need to actually include those things either. We should now just be able to run this, and it should act in exactly the same way as before. Goodbye code, link sumps indeed, that's what we like. So we've commented it out because, you know, I guess we're not quite brave enough live on stream to just delete it, but it should be, because logically it should work, shouldn't it? So let's try it. Okay, here's the emulator. Let's restart the conversation. So what we want to do is to hit number 2, which is our when next dialog. We haven't got a time zone selected, as you can see here. It's got time zone selected is dash, so it should detect that we want to start our time zone. Time zone usually in the date time object, for what it's worth. Yeah, so this is actually this isn't an offset. This isn't plus 3 UTC. This is a true time zone designation from the IANA time zone database. So this time zone is immune to daylight saving. So if you're in UK time, this time zone knows that during some months you're UTC, and during other months during the summer you're actually UTC +1. So it's kind of we've abstracted ourselves away from the concept of time zone being an offset from UTC. We're going to rely on Node time upon the deadstreams project to take care of all that for us. All we're going to say is, we're in this time zone, give us the right time now. So it'll be different times in the winter than in the summer, but we're being consistent. We're just asking the server system that's going to provide the data to us to take care of all that kind of complexity, the horrible complexity of time zones, which if you kind of watch the dev chapter video when John Skeet came on Brendan's stream and talked about node time and the complexities of time zones, you'll get a lot out of that, and you'll have your mind blown, really. Okay, so we're going to press number 2, and this should now, the first thing it should do is detect we haven't got a time zone and launch the time zone dialog. And it has. So we'll just take the default, so United States. We won't choose Hawaii there, we'll choose New York. Submit that, and now it's going to ask us for our streamer, and we'll put in link slumps. I'm sure link slumps is going to be streaming soon, and now it's got our America New York time zone in there. And if we go over here to do a reset time zone, it should just follow the same process. United Kingdom this time, United Kingdom time, that's the only option. And that's what I mean, it's United Kingdom time, it's not GMT or it's not British Summer Time, so it knows, depending on what time of year we are, which of those two time zones we're in currently. Yes, link slumps, you don't, until you start thinking about it, you don't realise how complex time zones are. I think some of the kind of mind-blowing things that John Skeet talked about is due to time zones and daylight saving, on some days there are two 1 o'clock in the mornings, or there might be no 1 o'clock in the morning. So that there being two 1 o'clocks can actually be really kind of mind-blowing when you try to think about things that are recurring schedules. Luckily, Noda Time is going to kind of cope with all that for us, and we haven't got to worry about it. So links of your Atlantic time. Well, it's just an example. Okay, so that appears to be working. So if we now hit 2, it should skip over the asking us time zone and just ask us for the streamer, and we'll put Rambling Geek in there again. And there we are. And now at this point, we need it to come back and actually give us some information about the streams. So let's stop this bot, and what I'll do is just show you. So let's finish off this code refactor and actually get rid of all the code that we no longer want. And you can see it's going to reduce the size of our class quite considerably, which is always fun. That's a really nice refactoring, because we've now gone from a situation where a lot of repeated code to a situation where we're reusing code and we can make changes in one place, and that's going to be reflected in every use of that dialog. So for example, we've set our defaults, and we can start making some changes in here that will be reflected for everyone who uses our get time zone dialog. And one of the things we might be able to do as a next stage of refactoring is to pull that out into a core project, and then that's a reusable component, and we've got a set time zone dialog, which is we can then use elsewhere. Link slumps. I've read some anti-link usage stuff lately. Other people have to learn it. Hard to debug edge cases where two arguments you heard against using it. Okay, so if you're using a functional language like F#, link is basically the functional aspects of C#. So I kind of find it hard for people to make those assertions that it's kind of hard to debug edge case. I guess you can see where they're coming from, but what you can do, you can always break down your link into for each and things like that, can't you? And then you can combine it back up into links. So there's nothing that you can do in link that you can't do by writing the code out longhand. So yeah, I love link. I've done a bit of F#, and if you're in the F# world, you're working in the functional world, and link is a functional way of working. So yeah, I can't quite ascribe to those arguments. The learning thing is a very poor argument, because they have to learn to program as well. So is that a thing against writing software, because you have to learn it? A bit spurious. The debug edge cases, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but you can always break it down into its component parts and look at each individual part and see where your problems are. Some shops use it, some others don't. Link slumps, well, I mean, I would always want to use the best language features I can to attack the problem I'm having. And sometimes link is the best way, and sometimes maybe it isn't. Maybe it's not the clearest way sometimes. It's like using regex, isn't it? I mean, regex is powerful, but it's far from readable. And also, if it's a complicated link expression, then explain it, comment it, so that other people coming along understand it, or break it down into smaller parts. Now, I must admit that I by far prefer the extension method layout for link rather than the query layout, because the query layout is trying to look like SQL, and I don't follow that. I don't really ascribe to that. So I always use the extension method version. But that's personal preference. Okay. So let's start to look at adding GraphQL to this. So we can close these bits down. What we want to do is go down to here, and we want to look at this bit. It says to do get the data from the GraphQL endpoint. Pat, hi there. I think you were a follower earlier. Are you saying hi, or are you having to leave? Hopefully you're staying for some more. Okay. Let's have a look at deadstreams, shall we? I've got a version of deadstreams that's running up on Azure. It's got a few streams already in the database, so we're going to be using the streams in the database in my test instance of deadstreams to do the rest of the kind of work we need to do, and that will be the case until deadstreams actually goes live. So let's go and have a look at it. I was hoping we might. Oh, I've got too many of those in, that's why. So I was hoping it might come up with it for us. There we are. If you haven't seen DevStreams, then this is a community website that's being built over on DevChatter's stream. So Links Lumps, you did put a PI. It's almost there. Well, that's great. Pat, thank you for saying hi. You're working today, so actually. Just listening to the stream, that's fine. I mean, I know this is an early stream, and a lot of people in the UK or Europe are still at work, so I do understand that. If you're stable, Regex is okay in your opinion? Yeah, well, I think it's okay as well. The problem is when we use the Regex hammer to solve problem, it's solved by a recursive, decent parser. Yes, sometimes. You see regex in there, and in an application, you think that's just like it's simpler to do it another way. Regex is an obscure language. Not everyone can read it, and what I tend to find is that I have to use, in order to write a decent regex, I have to use some kind of tool which will help me use test cases. So I only use it when it's absolutely necessary, and if you've got another way of especially if you're working in the functional world like FuelSnable often does, then recursive parsing is the way to go. And if you can kind of create a reusable component that does that, and you can reuse it in your own applications, that's fantastic. So welcome FuelSnable, thank you to join us. If I need what tool do I use? Well, I don't tend to do a lot of parsing in my day job. So So I would kind of look on a case-by-case instance. So I haven't used one recently. I think probably the last thing I used probably would have been a regex, and I can't recall what it was about. So apologies for that. Most of the time I work on web applications on the back end, so I'm kind of I kind of do the plumbing work for Dynamics 365 or Dynamics CRM and services that kind of consume those resources. So I don't do an awful lot of kind of front-end work personally. So that's why I'm kind of learning. I'm learning an awful lot by doing this stream. And also, JavaScript is not my strength by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm really kind of keen on not getting too deep into JavaScript, and this is why Blazor is of interest for me. So yes, anyone in chat who uses parsing or has a tool for parsing, then that would be great if you could contribute. So I can't really recommend or mention anything at the moment. Okay, so this is our database. So look at the channels. You can see we've got a number of channels in here. Some of them have got schedules. So there's a dev chatter schedule here. There's a test code base alpha schedule. There's a Noopcat. There's a Gareth Hubble, Rambling Geek. It hasn't got a schedule. Neither is Honest Dan Games or Code Rushed, but we can enter some data into there, and you can see what time zone they're in. And these time zones you recognise. United Kingdom time is the same time zone we had back on our bot. Okay, so what we have on our deadstreams system is a GraphQL endpoint, and we have a GraphQL Playground here. And what we can do with this is send it queries, and it will give us back data. So it's basically like a REST interface, but it's not REST, it's GraphQL. We've got queries, and we've got defined queries we can send to it. So this query is get channel. We're sending it in a name and a time zone. The query is going to use get channel. It's channel soundx. We're going to pass the name into that, and we're going to pass the time zone into the next stream. And here you can see we've misspelt dev chatter as def chatter, and we've asked for Europe London as the time zone, and we're going to hit run, and we can see we've got back dev chatter. So the soundx kind of quality here has been preserved, so it sounds a bit like def chatter sounds a bit like dev chatter, so it's actually found that in our database. We can see this is a US based stream, and you can see here the times, and the local times start and end date are the times where in our time zone requested, so Europe London, which was down here, and you can see it's 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, which is dev chatter's Thursday schedule. fparsec you're suggesting for your Snable, for F#, yeah. Oh, Yak and Lex, yes, I've come across those. Yes. So the one amazing thing about fparsec is that you get readable parser failures for free. That sounds really interesting. I'll have to look into that because I want to get back into this F#. Pop's not on stream, but I did enjoy the kind of the brief sally into F# that I did. Okay, so here we have a playground we can use to define our queries. So let's return to our bot, and what we're going to need to do is set up some models for the data that's going to come back from GraphQL, and we're going to set up a GraphQL client. Now we've done this before on stream, so I'm going to kind of keep this quite quick. We're going to add a new project. This is going to be a .NET Standard library, class library, and we're going to call it snb.chatbox.core. Create that. Okay, in here we're going to delete the class. We don't need that. We're going to create a folder, and this is going to be a folder called models. We're going to put our models in a core library. We'll add a class in there, and this is going to be channel model. So there might be some confusion here with the word channel. So we're using the word channel here in the context of the GraphQL endpoint. So a channel is a stream. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach across into another project. Oops, I've misspelt chat. Look at that. Let's rename that. There we go. Chat box. Yeah, there we are, fixed up. So we've already kind of defined a lot of this stuff for other projects. So what I'm going to do is simply reach into there, into another project, and grab all of the various properties. I'll explain the properties for those of you who've not come across them before. Okay, so we've got some simple properties. So each channel has an ID, has a name, has a URI, which kind of points to where it runs, country code and time zone. There are simple objects. Then we have more complicated types. So we have Twitch model, a stream session, a list of stream session. So there's the next stream, the future streams, which is a list of stream sessions. We have the schedule, which is schedule streams, and the tags associated with it, which is like what the subjects that the stream covers. So we're going to have to define all of these now. Let's quickly build these up. The next one is a Twitch model. So let's add that. So once again, I'm going to just cut and paste this. So if you want to know anything about how we kind of came up with these various models, then just refer back to previous videos. They'll be in the GraphQL videos or in the Alexa videos, but it's all on there. So here we have Twitch model. It's got a channel ID, a Twitch ID, a Twitch name, and then a couple of flags whether they're an affiliate or a partner. But what I don't want to do is to get too kind of bogged down in stuff we've covered before. So the next thing is a stream session model. So let's create that. Can we create one from here with CodeRush under? Here we can. Generate stream session model in a new file. There we go. Let's use the features. And then over here, look, wonderful. Now we just can just grab those properties, paste those over. There we go. And we just need to bring in system. Okay, that's that one. We've got schedule stream model. Let's generate that in a separate file. Is it going to let me do that? That's interesting, because it's inside there. It's not happy about letting me replay, is it? There we are. It does. There we go. And that's now over here. Schedule stream model. I do like CodeRush. Those are the features that may be actually already in Visual Studio 2019. I can't recall, but ISO day of week. So that's node of time. So we're going to bring node of time in here. So let's do that while we're thinking about it. So we want to bring in a NuGet package. This is going to brand for node of time. This is the package that we're using for all that kind of time zone related stuff. An ISO day of week is a node of time type, so we need to bring that package in. So let's bring the node of time namespace in. There we go. Save that, and finally it's tag model. There we go. So generate type tag model. Generate class in the new file. There we go. And tag model is over here. So apologies, I'm not looking at chat at the moment. I've only got a tiny screen as my second screen, so I can't see what's going on. So if something's going on in chat, do bear with me. I can now close this window down. So yeah. So yeah, if anyone isn't following me on Twitter, it's a great place to get information about pop-up streams. So there is a possibility, it's quite slim possibility, there is a possibility of a pop-up stream later this evening, where I probably will just do some text adventure work, just as a kind of a diversion from this. But it's not guaranteed at the moment. I would like to do a little bit of kind of work on the text adventure in Alphabot, and it may get done this evening. There's also a vague possibility of a Sunday stream as well. But all these are vague possibilities. They rely on my wife going out, so that I don't kind of impinge on family time. And she's gone out, then I'm free to stream. Okay, so there's our models. So now we're going to create another, add another project, which is going to be our client project. This is also going to be a .NET standard library, and we're going to call this snb.chatbox. Let's make sure I spell that right. .clients.graphql. Okay. So there's our client. And we should be able to rename this. We'll call it Channel Graph Client. Okay, so I'm now going to go and once again we've built a GraphQL client on the stream at least twice, so we're not going to go through it again. What I'll do is just grab the code, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing. So where is that? So it's over here. Okay. So what we're going to need to have is an interface, and we'll put that up in core. So let's create an interface in core. So we'll add a folder, interfaces. Into there we'll add a new class, a new item, which is going to be an interface. And we're going to call it channel client. This is going to be a public interface. And in here what we need to put is the queries we want to make on our client. So we've got two queries to start off with, and these are the same queries we've done before, but slightly kind of modified. We're going to get more information back in these queries, but we still need the signatures of our of what the queries are going to be. So let's bring in these lost namespaces. There we go. We can tidy up that. There we go. Okay. So down here in our GraphQL client project, here we need to set dependencies. We're going to depend upon our core. Okay, and this is going to implement channel client. Bring in that namespace, and then we'll implement the interface. Okay. So as I said before, we've actually already done this work before. So I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time on it, but I'll just grab a few pieces out of the previous project and we'll explain it. So we've got we're going to what's the best way to explain this? We're going to need to bring in the GraphQL client packages in order to work with these. What we're going to do basically, we're going to create a new GraphQL client, point it at an endpoint which is in config, and then we're going to be able to do operations on that. So let's bring in the dependent libraries first. So we need to manage NuGet. We want GraphQL GraphQL.client. There we are. That's the one we want. Install that. Okay, so we've got our package in. We can now just bring the namespaces that are missing in. Configuration. That's that one there. Microsoft.extensions.configuration. And we're going to pass that in. Okay. So let's do get channel by name first, as we haven't really looked at getting the live channels. And I'm just going to put once again. I'm going to pull in that code so that we don't have to think too hard about it. And what we do is we'll change it where necessary. So we'll just implement this bottom one. Okay. We need some namespaces bringing in. And this is an async. Oops. What have I done? I've put the wrong one in, haven't I? So let's just pull it out again. I put it in the wrong place. Which is typical of me, isn't it, really? That's the way we want it to go, and we want to put this throw exception back down here. We don't want to do get live channels yet. We'll do that next. Okay. And we want to bring that in, and we need to bring in GraphQL error, and this one's going to see async. Oops. Channel name, that's it. Okay. So this is going to do this soundex query for us. It's going to bring back the name, the URI, and the country code, and the next stream, and it's going to bring back the next stream. And we don't need UTC start time this time. We just need the start and end in our local time zone, which we're going to pass into the query. And also, what we'll do is we'll get some more information about the stream. So we'll get schedule. What we'll do, we'll actually model this over in our playground. So let's go and do that. So Linkslum's pretty sure that you can get time online and views from that same API. Yeah, you can do. It's just the GraphQL endpoint currently doesn't pick up that information. So we'll be bringing all that kind of stuff across as we push more PRs across to DevChatter to expand the GraphQL endpoint and the queries available on it. So we want to expose all the stuff, all the good stuff that you've dug out of Twitch. Expose that on the GraphQL. So we're over here. So let's pop that over into here. Okay, so schedule, I think it's called. And you can see the good thing about using this GraphQL Playground is we do get some help. And the schedule is going to be a day of week, local start time, local end time, and what else can we bring back? We could bring back tags, couldn't we? So these are the subjects that the streamer streams, and so we could say the ID of the tag and the name of the tag. see what happens when we let's prettify that. Let's see what happens when we run that. That's dev chatter. Okay, so we see that he's got these tags. These are not necessarily the correct tags for his stream, but just test data. We've got his schedule, and we've got when streaming next. So that's pretty much what we want. So let's just grab the whole of that. And now we can come over here and just pop it directly into there. We'll just format it with some tabs. We can get that. What's up there? And we needn't have these on separate lines. Okay, schedule. The schedule is wrong, isn't it? We need to pass in the time zone as well into schedule. So let's just go and do that on our playground. Pass in the. At the moment, the schedule's coming back in dev chatter's time zone, not in the time zone we requested. Let's run that again now. Now it's coming back in the correct time zone. So 7 till 9, 7 till 9, 5 till 7, and then 6 till 8. That's pretty good. So this is the power really of the GraphQL. We're just passing those variables in, and then the query at the GraphQL endpoint is working out all this for us. So we haven't got to worry about that. That might be a bit more difficult to do from a REST endpoint. Certainly, you couldn't get all of this information in one go from a REST endpoint. There'd probably be several calls to various endpoints required. And then our tags. Oops, ID. Name. And there we go. And there's our variable. So that should bring us back what we want. We've also got the opportunity for people to mistype the name of the streamer, and we still use our soundex function to get it back. So Lunks Lumps, I don't understand how that works. Just knows that the variable is used for that. I mean, yes. So basically, the query as defined in at the GraphQL endpoint end basically knows that you can optionally take in a time zone. And it'll work. The logic to work out what time zone, the time zone conversions are all in the deadstreams end. So we haven't got to worry about any of that. All we've got to know is that if we pass in a time zone variable, it will come back. The data will come back in the requested time zone. So yeah, it's great because it extracts all that complexity away from us, and we haven't got to worry about it. So if you want to know how that works, we can either pay a brief visit into deadstreams and I can show you, or maybe we can take that off stream and we can discuss it in Discord, and I can guide you through the code perhaps over Discord. Okay, one of the things you will notice is the two different ways of doing things. So here we can pass we can see the schedule and we can have a time zone at the schedule level, whereas in NextStream we can't do that. I have to put the time zone at the property level. There's some there's reasons why we have to do that, but in terms of our query, we've hidden all that complexity away from the user. All they're going to do is give us a name and a time zone, and we take care of it. So we need to bring link in here, don't we? There we go. Okay, so we've got our first query. So let's put a dependency here on as a reference to the GraphQL client, as a reference to core, just to be good measure. Okay. So we're going to need to create an instance of this GraphQL client, aren't we? So let's go into first thing we need to do is do some configuration. So there's this piece. So we probably don't need deadstreams in front of it. GraphQL endpoint will probably be sufficient. So let's go over to our app settings.json and just drop that in. And we need to just grab the endpoint, which is going to be this. And it's /GraphQL. And that is our endpoint that we need to reference. Yes, Luke, so have a delve into deadstreams. That'll all be in the GraphQL project that's in deadstreams. And have a look through it. If you don't understand it, just ask questions either in my Discord or in DevChatter Discord. And we can get you understanding it, and maybe you can write a new query. The best way to learn it is to actually start using it and start writing some queries in it. And there's a few queries we do need adding to it. Okay, so that's the endpoint there. So let's what's the best thing to do next? I think what I need to do is to bring up some code from let's take this off screen for a second. What we need to do is go to look at the code to actually instantiate a client, a GraphQL client. And what we'll do is once again we'll just pop across and pull that out of another project. So we want to go to the startup method. Where am I? Oops. Excuse me while I work out where I am. Here we are. Right. So we just need this line adding into our startup method. There we are, configure services. We need to add in a scoped iChannel. So let's just bring in those namespaces. So that's the one from core. This is the actual concrete implementation of that interface. And we should be able to now, when we create this, it would be injected with an iConfiguration object with our configuration in it. So that's about all we need to do there, I believe. Okay, so when next? In our when next, we're going to want to inject into here a GraphQL client. So let's do that now. So here we want to have an iChannel client. We'll call it GraphQL client. We'll just call it client, shall we? There we go. Bring that in. Okay, so we'll have a client. We need to have a local variable. So a private read only iChannel client. That, and we'll just populate that. Okay, so we now should have a GraphQL client available to us, which we'll be able to use down here. So this is the point where we need to use it. Okay, so we're going to have to go off to an external API now and actually bring back some information. So what we could do with doing is actually showing the user we're busy, and we can do that by displaying a typing indicator. I think slumps. I think you looked at it a bit. Oh, so you looked at the GraphQL code before. It wasn't too bad. Okay, that's good. It's not too bad. But if you did explanations, just let me know. So what we can do, we can display to the user a typing message or a typing indicator. So let's see if we can do that. So we need to use a step context for that. .context, which is this step context.context is of type iTurn context, as you can see here. So we're basically affecting the turn context. We're going to do a send activity, async, and we're going to send in a new object. Type is going to be type. No, not uppercase T, lowercase, and that's going to be activity types. Activity types. So we can fetch that in. That's the bot schema, and should be a dot typing. There is. So if we that should do it now. What's it complaining about? It's no argument given that responds to the required parameters activities. So this is a list of activities, I think. Activities, we want activity. So that should take care of that. Interesting. So when I tried to figure out how to do this, this seemed to be the indicated method of doing it. Send activity, input hint. Let's try and get rid of these curly braces. Okay, well that seems to be happier, doesn't it? Well, then we can pass a cancellation token as well, I think. And we'll see if that works. It wants a null there, does it? Let's just not pass the cancellation token in for now, because we're still kind of not sure that's going to actually work. So let's just do that. So so the channel, let's call it nested stream. I don't like the titles. Let's call it channel for now. I don't like channel because we're kind of mixing in terminology with the terminology of the bot framework, but we'll address that in a moment. So client dot get channel by name. So we need to pass in the time zone and the streamer name. So what we need to do, a bit of a job on the streamer's name first. So var stream name. So that's going to be user selections dot stream name, two lower, and we also want to replace any spaces with string.empty. and we could probably do some other things to it, but let's just leave it at that. So what we're going to do is get rid of spaces the user might have typed in, and make sure it's lowercase. So if you're Snable, a co-worker is so concerned about spoilers to Game of Thrones that he was furious if I managed to guess the end and it turned out correct. It's best to keep quiet around him these days. So I have the same issue. I haven't seen Endgame, I haven't seen Infinity War, so all my colleagues are itching to tell me about Endgame and they can't, so they're having to kind of create private Slack channels to talk about it. I don't watch Game of Thrones either, if you're Snable. It's too explicit and too violent for me. I'm a big fan of fantasy, but it's not that kind of fantasy. I'm sure I should like it because I'm a big D&D fan. But it's the sex and the violence has turned me right off, so I don't bother. Okay, stream name. So we're going to pass the stream name in there. Stream name, and then we're going to pass user selections. User selections .timezone here. So we'll go and get that back. So and let's just place a breakpoint there, and let's just see what happens. See what we get back into the channel, because I can't remember exactly what we're going to get back. If we go over to the client, what you'll see is it's going to get some JSON back basically, and this get data fields as is going to basically do an auto mapping for us of those JSON data into the channel model. So we're going to get a channel model back basically. It's going to return a task of channel model, so we need to await that, which is good. We're all working very asynchronously here. But let's see exactly what we get back when we get good data and what we get back when we get bad data. Let's run our project up. Oops, okay, what have we done here? There is no argument. Oh, okay, here we are. So we're going to want to inject iClient into here, aren't we? We're injecting the user state, so we want to inject here iChannel clients. Into there, and then when we go into the when next dialog, we want to force that through into there. And we need to bring the namespace in for core. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. Bring up our emulator and just hit restart conversation. Let's go into number 2. So we're going to ask about we're going to go in the United Kingdom. UK time. So we're going to ask about dev chatter. So let's spell it correctly. So dev chatter. We got a typing indicator and something went wrong. Okay, so it just says typing, which is not a great typing indicator, is it? But there we go. I don't think that's actually working properly. It should be kind of some dots, I think. So something went wrong at that point. So I think what I'm going to do is put a breakpoint above where we had it. So in the next dialog, maybe we haven't got a client passed in. So let's pop it there instead. I think all this is doing, is actually putting the text typing in. It's not actually, yes, that's all it's doing. It's a constant string. Well, okay. We'll cross that bridge. Because there's activity type of typing, there must be a way of sending a typing indicator across to the chat emulator. So let's run it again, and we'll just investigate that off stream, because I think I made a note of what someone told me it was, and it doesn't seem to work, so we'll have to investigate that separately. Okay. Over here. So restart a conversation. Number 2. We'll set United Kingdom. Kingdom time. Dev chatter. And that through. Do we have a client? We do have a client. The stream name is dev chatter. Time zone is Europe London. And we step over that. And it throws. Okay. Something's not set up properly. So let's remove that. And we'll do no, that didn't work, did it? So I'm trying to use a a shortcut from CodeRush. So let's try it again. No. No. Never mind. We'll do it manually. I think. Can I check out my cheat sheet? Oh, it's just a C. Let's put cancellation token in there. Oh, no. So it says select an item and do see that. No, it's not, obviously not working for me at the moment. So I'll have to work that out, but let's just stick a try catch around that. That's not part of what we're trying to do. Exception, yes. I haven't got a logger in here, but we'll just have something temporary in there for the moment to pick up the exception. Let's run it again. Let's see what the exception is. Oops. Okay. Restart the conversation. That one. Let's just accept those. Okay, so variable $name is invalid. Received null input for a non field. So we pass stream. So obviously it's off in my channel client over here. So let's go and sort that out. Ah, there we go. So name equals channel name. That's the problem. So now we should be okay. We need to pass in some logging into this so that we can log it in future. So back to here, emulator, restart a conversation. We'll just pass in United States and Honolulu. Point up in dev chatter. Or did I put a I didn't put a breakpoint in, did I? So we want our breakpoint now. We want it there. Let's try again. So this time we won't have to put any time zone in. We'll just put in dev chatter. And then we've hit here. And what do we get back once we step over that? We get channel model. And we've got some nice data there. Next stream. Okay, there we are. We've got it. Okay, so let's see how we're going to kind of format that on screen. Let's just get some basic data out at the moment. So what is the best format? We want a nice card type, really, don't we? But let's just print out a bunch of data and leave it at that initially. Then we can make it kind of richer. Okay. So this is where we do really want a nice card, so we can present a card back to the user. So let's have a hero card. So let's go over to yeah, the card is the best way to go. Let's go over here to our main menu, and you can see this is how we created a card. So we don't need any buttons or anything, but let's grab a hero card and go over to when next, and over here what we'll do is create a hero card, and the title is going to be, so this is, again, this is happy path programming. We're going to have to kind of do something about the sad path, but we'll just worry about that on another stream. So channel dot name. And here, what's the best way of going about this? We don't need any buttons. We'll think of a subtitle in a moment. We've got the channel name, channel URI, so we'll put in the channel URI as a subtitle. Link. Channel URI, channel, and the URI, and I think up here we'll say our schedule. It's going to be a new string builder. For each day in channel dot schedule var naming of variables. That's annoying. We'll just call it data for now. Can't think of anything else. Data is going to be equal to no, we don't need. What we can do is simply say schedule dot append line and it will be day of week. Now I'm not sure what that's going to come back as. We'll see. And then we'll say local start time. Day.local end time. Build that up. And we've got next stream, don't we? So we build that, and we'll have schedule dot pen line. And then we'll have so this is, we need to think about the layout and what the exact contact. So next stream, and in there we can go for channel next stream dot just that, I think. That should be enough to get us going. And here we can just put in schedule. And I think we can probably do an awful lot better than this, but we'll figure that out when we can. Okay, so once again we need then to create the reply. Which we'll do here. And this is going to be step context. So I think I've been programming in Bot Framework for about, what's the time now? So we're coming up to probably about 7 hours of working in the framework. I spent an hour skim reading the documentation, and then probably half an hour doing it again because of the change of framework version. And you start to get quite used to how to use it under normal circumstances. So it started to become quite easy to use. Keisuvishina, thank you for the follow. That's really, really generous of you. Thank you very much. We're kind of deep into this at the moment. Term context. Oops, no, turn context. So yeah, we're heading towards the 150 goal. What we at now? 145. So that's really, really, very, really close now. That's good. So this is step context. Sorry, I've gone quite mad here. Step context. So that should give us. So once again, as I say, it's happy path. We're not taking account of the fact that we didn't get anything back. So we better just protect ourselves against that. What we'll do is stick a breakpoint in here and see what happens if it doesn't find anything. Okay, let's give it a go. Here we are with our emulator. We'll restart the conversation again. We'll hit number 2. We'll just choose. Well, no, we'll choose UK because we know dev chat is going to come back. We want it to come back in UK time and not in New York time. Hit that. We can get rid of this use selected message as well. Dev chatter. We'll hit here, so that's got data in it. So we'll just push that through. And here we go. So we got dev chatter. Here's a link which we can click on, and it's got the schedule. We need to kind of format that on the next stream. We need to kind of format that nicely as well, so it's a bit better. But we've got the basic information. So let's now do number 2 again, and we'll say cheese chatter. We're not going to find cheese chatter. And here, what have we got here? We've got a null, so we just need to put some null protection in there, so that's good. Let's stop it there. So what we'll do is do a bit of markup. So next stream should now be in bold, and we need to work out a nice format for this. So we can possibly do that fairly simply. We can do that. In our Alexa control over here, we should have some formatting of that. So I'm just looking at the Alexa project where I pulled the GraphQL stuff from, and they should have a nice format for us in there. So we can use this. For our next stream, we could put this. And what we'll do is we'll smarten it up a bit as well. That's going to be next stream. And we need to just put some null defenses in here. So if channel is not null, we'll pop that out. Else it's going to we're just going to send the message out. So I think this is a message factory .text, and it was going to be I'm sorry, but I could not find, and it would be this value here. Value here. Could not find that in the dev streams database. Okay, let's just bring that down. Okay, we want to make this a bit cleverer so that it says today or tomorrow, so we can do that. But we'll do that another time. It'd be nice if it says today or tomorrow, if it's today or tomorrow, rather than giving you a day and a month. Okay, let's run it up again and see where we are, because we're just about coming towards the end of the stream now, so we've made a fair bit of progress. Let's just give you some dark theme. I don't want to do too much of that white. Electric Havoc, thanks for the follow. Let's have some Fuel Snowball hype into the chat while we're doing this. So there we go. There's some hyperspatial alphs for you for our hype effect. Thank you very much, Electric Havoc, for the follow. It's very, very much appreciated. So in chat, Shuvishna. I wonder what a wonderful vibe you have here. I know nothing about C#, but I can't stop watching for some reason. Well, that's very, very kind of you for saying that. We try to keep it fairly relaxed, but do a fair amount of coding. But yeah, you're welcome to ask questions in chat. Hi Electric Havoc, welcome to the stream. I'm not sure if we've seen you in the stream before, but very, very heartfelt thanks for the follow. So we're really close now, aren't we, to our targets? That's wonderful. Okay, so let's hit the streamer. So we'll go for, I don't know, where do we go? Let's hit Turkmenistan. Is it the Turkmenistan's time? When is Dev Chatter streaming in Turkestan and Turkmenistan? Dev Chatter, and we'll demonstrate the so okay, there we are. So he's streaming next on Thursday, May the 9th at 11 PM in Turkmenistan. Let's demonstrate that if we say Dev Chatter rather than Dev Chatter. Let's just go through that process again. We won't be asked for the time zone again. So Dev Chatter. Oops. So you see, it still finds Dev Chatter. So it's our SoundX matching is working. So you've got that electric flash there. Every Electric Havoc does look cool, and the Linksums agrees. So let's now go in for so the one things I know it won't match is Death Cheddar. Death Cheddar is obviously what Dev Chatter actually really sounds like. Couldn't find Death Cheddar in the deadstreams database, so that's working really quite well. So let's go to again, type in Codebase Alpha. What time am I on in Turkmenistan? I'm on 1 in the morning. So one thing that's interesting here you can see is that even though I broadcast on a Monday and a Wednesday, that it's coming back as being Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the morning in Turkmenistan, so it does that correctly. Okay. There's a few kind of bits and pieces we can tidy up before we finish. So where it kind of repeats back the time zone to us, we don't need to do that, but what we do need to do is put a confirmation step in there, and we'll do that on stream in a future stream. So let's just go and tidy that little bit up. So that would be on the set next time zone dialog. So rather than actually as a confirmation, we won't actually confirm anything back to them. We just basically will change the name as persist, the persist data step, and we'll change that up here. That makes a bit more sense. We're not really going to confirm at this stage, but we will change that so we do actually give the user a chance to confirm that they've got their time zone correct. Okay. We've got our graph client, we can close that down. Our models are all correct. And we're next dialog. So we could do with doing a bit of tidying up of the schedule. And that's just a matter of doing some nice formatting. So I can sort that out off stream, I think, or in the next stream. This bit here about today or tomorrow. We haven't got much time left to do that, but let's just make a quick start on the information we're going to need in order to do that. So if I go over to our deadstreams Playground over here, in order to get the next stream back so it says today or tomorrow, we're also going to want the UTC start time to be brought back here. So let's just grab that and add that to our GraphQL query. Go off to our channel client. Here for next stream, we're also going to want to have UTC start time, and the reason why we're going to use UTC start time is we're going to use that to determine whether that date is going to be today or tomorrow, and we'll use UTC as the kind of common ground for that. So that's that kind of preparation for that. In fact, we might as well do it because it won't take too much effort to actually do that. So if we go back over to our when next dialog, so next stream is equal to that. So what we can basically do is pinch this bit of code here. I'll just pinch this straight out of Alexa. And we'll just create a var next stream and say that by default that is going to say currently not recorded deadstreams. That's our default message. Otherwise, next stream. So we want this. This. And this is going to be. Oh, this is local start time we want there. Not local end time. Like that. We want this over here. And this becomes just simply next stream. Okay. So this is basically a bit of kind of humanizing some of the output. So let's try this, and that should be sufficient then to end the stream on. So let's give it a go. We'll just remove that and restart. So let's look for dev chatter. Dev chatter is definitely going to stream tomorrow. So let's choose United Kingdom, UK time, and we want dev chatter. We'll just spell it correctly for. There we are. So it says streaming next tomorrow at 5 PM, which is a bit more kind of conversational. We just need to sort this schedule out really. And what we want to do is we've got a nice link where we can go off to DevChatter's site, and we probably want to have some graphics on here, so their logo and that kind of stuff on there, which we'll need to reach into Twitch to get. So maybe link slumps. If you are in chat, maybe you could look at create an issue to get the channel logo out of Twitch, and then to maybe you could address that as a PR. That might be a nice little thing to do. And let's just try again with a different time zone. So we'll try no, that's probably a bit too close to the US. So let's try Australia. Or Australia, and in Adelaide, and now we'll go here and we'll say dev chatter. When's dev chatter? When am I on? Let's have a different one. Codebase alpha. When am I on Australia? I know we got a guy called Kim Philpotts who's watches from Australia. I'm on a Tuesday at 5:30 in the morning. At the moment, midnight on a Thursday for this stream, so that's interesting. And there's a spurious stream here, which is a test stream on a Friday at 10:30 for the Australians. So I'm next streaming on Friday, May the 10th, which I'm not, just to make that clear. Okay, so I think we've got into a good position at the end of the stream there. We've got one of the code streams working, getting some information back. Needs a bit of tidying up. We probably need to kind of pull some of this code out into other classes, just to kind of refactor it a bit. But I'm pretty happy with what we've done. So let's push all these changes up into into GitHub. So episode 23 is the tag we're going to put against that. That's a commit message, and we're going to sync that up. So please do take a look at the code if you want to submit PRs, or you want to just use the code for yourself. Go ahead. It's all public. It's all public domain. Links lumps. Need more details in a little bit in dev chat or my Discord. Either Discord, doesn't matter. I'm going to take my wife out very shortly and then have something to eat. Especially if I'm going to intend to stream again this evening. I'm not sure I am, but if I need to kind of get all that done. So it may not be immediately links lumps, but we can have a chat about that. I do believe that the code you started should be able to pull back information like their logo, stream logo, if it is there. Yeah, so that's my my Discord. Do if anyone isn't a member, then just click on the link. That's an auto invite to my Discord. Please do pop over there. I'd like to thank you all for watching on this early stream. I know it's not a great time for most people, and I am going to look at maybe moving it slightly, but it won't be a great deal because I do get a few viewers on this, and I don't want to kind of disappoint those people. And Wednesdays is a kind of it's a bit of a dead day for dev streamers. There's a lot on other days, but not so many on a Wednesday. So let's go and have a look at who we can raid. If there's anyone available to raid, so let's pop over to. If anyone's got any preferences for a raid, let me know. Otherwise, let's see who's live. So we've got Ed Charbonneau who's live doing Blazor, doing live interviews from build. So I think we kind of traditionally at this stage probably go over to Code Rush. We've got Fletcher Codes and we've got Nick Larson. So let's pop over to. We won't do Insta Fluff. He's got loads of viewers. So let's go over to Code Rush. I think he'll be going for at least another half hour, so that should be sufficient. So do stay with me for Code Rush. It's a fantastic stream. Otherwise, I will see you either later today at a time to be specified. Just watch out on Twitter. So do follow me on Twitter for that time. Otherwise, it will be next Monday with a possibility of a Sunday afternoon stream. I'm not sure yet. So we're going over to Code Rush. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you soon.